In the bustling streets of New York City in 1998, we meet Hank, a quiet, ordinary bartender who spends his days and nights pouring drinks at a local bar. One evening, as his shift ends, his girlfriend Yvonne waits for him outside. They laugh and joke as they head home together. At their apartment building, Hank runs into his neighbor Russ, who looks worried. Russ explains that his father is sickly ill and he has to fly to London for a few days. He asks Hank to take care of his cat while he's gone. Hank immediately refuses. He hates cats, and Russ's cat bites. But Yvonne loves cats and convinces him to say yes. Before they can settle the argument, another neighbor, Dwayne, storms out, yelling at them to keep it down because he needs to sleep. Russ loses his temper and charges at Dwayne, who quickly slams his door shut. Russ leaves for London, and despite his protests, Hank is now stuck looking after the cat. Back in their apartment, Yvonne playfully pulls out what looks like a gun and points it at Hank. He freezes. But she just lights her cigarette with it. It's only a lighter. They laugh, get close, and spend an intimate night together. The next morning, Hank wakes up sore, staring at an old injury on his knee. Yvonne checks on him before heading to work. Alone, Hank makes breakfast and notices the cat eyeing his food. Realizing the cat must be hungry too, he grabs Russ's spare key and slips next door to get cat food. Just then, two rough-looking men show up asking where Russ is. Hank says he doesn't know. The men push past him and try to enter Russ's apartment. Hank blocks them, and they brutally beat him until he's barely conscious. Dwayne peeks out again and threatens to call the cops. The thugs get angrier. One lunges at Dwayne, but he locks his door in time. Seeing Hank badly hurt and bleeding on the floor, the thugs warn him this isn't over and walk away. Hank blacks out. When he wakes up, we flash back a few years. A younger Hank was a talented baseball player on his way to a big game with his best friend. Driving excitedly, a cow suddenly appears on the road. Hank swerves to avoid it, but the car crashes hard into a pole. Back in the present, Hank opens his eyes in a hospital bed. Yvonne is by his side. She tells him he's been unconscious for 2 days. The beating damaged one of his kidneys so badly the doctors had to remove it. Now he only has one. Hank isn't worried about that. He's panicked because he hasn't called his mom in 2 days. He quickly phones her and lies, saying he had food poisoning. Yvonne smiles at how sweetly he lies to his mother. Worried about the huge hospital bill he can't afford, Hank checks himself out early. In the taxi home, Yvonne lays down strict new rules. No more drinking, careful diet, the works. Hank protests that alcohol is his whole life. Once home, he decides it's time to grow up. He promises himself he'll quit drinking and take his relationship seriously. Yvonne smiles softly, tells him to call her whenever he's ready to talk about us, and leaves. Hank starts by pouring every bottle of liquor down the toilet. The cat knocks over one last bottle, soaking the bed. Annoyed, Hank heads to the laundromat with his sheets. On his way back, he spots the same two thugs again. He runs, hides his face, and sneaks up the fire escape to avoid them breaking into Russ's apartment. Climbing through his own window, he hears noises next door and peeks over. One of the men spots him. Hank ducks inside just in time. Shaken, he calls Detective Roman, an officer he somehow knows, and asks her to come over. Roman arrives and explains the men are dangerous Russian mafia, not Ukrainian like Hank thought. Russ, it turns out, is a major drug dealer the police have been after for years. Roman shows Hank photos of two even more dangerous Jewish gangsters who are probably also looking for Russ. She tells him to call the second he sees them. While cleaning, Hank finds the cat's litter tray. Something looks odd. When he flips it over, there's no poop, just a toy with a small key hidden inside. Heart racing, he tries to call Roman, but she doesn't pick up. Moments later, the two Jewish gangsters break into Russ's apartment again. Terrified, Hank rushes to the bar where he works. His boss Paul is celebrating their favorite baseball team's win and pours Hank a drink. Unable to resist, Hank gets completely drunk. Yvonne comes to pick him up. On the way home, he slurs, "His life is ruined and everything I have is garbage." Hurt, Yvonne snaps that he thinks she's garbage too and storms off. Hank stumbles to the building entrance, throws up, strips to his underwear in the hallway, and passes out inside his apartment. He wakes up the next morning staring at the two Russian thugs and their boss, a calm but menacing man named Colorado. Hank's first question is, "Where's my cat?" They say the cat tried to bite them, so they kicked it, but it's alive. Colorado demands to know what Hank wants. Hank, confused and scared, mentions he found a key. They want it immediately. He honestly can't remember where he put it. Furious, they tie him to the couch and start ripping out his fresh surgical stitches one by one. Hank screams in agony. Dwayne knocks again, asking if everything's okay. The Russians curse at him. Dwayne threatens to call the cops. The thugs rush to his door, but he locks it again. Colorado yells at his men for almost bringing the cops down on them. Before leaving, he hands Hank his number and warns, "The second you find that key, you call me, or you know what happens." In pain and desperate, Hank goes to Yvonne. She glues his wound shut with super glue because he can't risk the hospital and police questions. He still can't remember the night he got drunk. While they talk, something clicks in his memory. He tells her he'd be back soon and rushes out. The Jewish brothers spot him and give chase through the streets. Hank barely hides. Colorado calls, taunting him. He knows where Hank lives, even knows about his girlfriend. Terrified for Yvonne, Hank races back to her place, only to find her dead on the floor, shot in the head. Devastated and crying, Hank goes straight to Detective Roman. She already knows his whole past. The promising baseball career, the crash that destroyed his knee and killed his best friend, how he never played again. Hank breaks down, blaming himself for both his friend's death and now Yvonne's. Roman takes him to a quiet diner and asks who he thinks killed her. He says Colorado. Roman shakes her head. That's not Colorado's style. The single shot to the head is the Jewish brothers' signature. She finally explains what everyone is after. Two rival crime factions in the city move huge amounts of cash. A massive shipment recently came through Russ, who hid it somewhere before disappearing. That little key Hank found in the cat toy opens the exact spot where millions of dollars are stashed. Every killer in town is now hunting for Hank, because he's the only one who has seen the key.
"Don't worry," Roman says with a smirk. "The whole police force is on its way." But the men who walk in next aren't cops. It's Colorado and his crew, and right there beside them stands Roman. The truth hits hard. She's been playing everyone, including Hank. She was keeping him talking just to buy time until she found the key. They drag Hank back to the bar. He tells them to wait outside while he gets the key from inside. Once through the door, he grabs Paul in a panic. "Last night when I was drunk, I gave you a key, remember? Where is it?" Paul plays dumb. Roman and Colorado lose patience and barge in. Roman demands the key, flashing her badge, but Paul snaps back that she has no warrant. One of Paul's workers mouths off to Colorado and gets a bullet for it. Colorado turns the gun on Paul next. Roman suddenly shoots Colorado dead, then plants a gun in the dead worker's hand to make it look like they killed each other. Now, terrified, Paul admits the key is in his safe. Roman forces him to open it. The second the door swings wide, Paul pulls out his own gun and starts firing. Hank ducks behind the bar as bullets fly. The door is locked. Everyone outside is shooting in. When Paul finally cracks the door to shoot again, Roman puts two in his chest. She screams for Hank to come out. He stays hidden. Sirens grow louder. Roman curses and runs. Hank slips out the back and sprints home. On the hallway floor, he spots his own dried vomit from the drunken night, and right beside it, a homeless man wearing his old pants. Hank kneels down. "Buddy, keep the pants, but was there a key in the pocket?" The man fishes the little key out and hands it over. Hank races upstairs. His apartment has been torn apart. He grabs a baseball bat and waits behind the door. It opens and he swings hard. The intruder drops. It's Russ. Hank explodes, screaming that because of him, Yvonne is dead. Russ, bruised and sorry, says, "Get in the car. I'll explain everything." In the car, Russ spills the whole story. When he was young, the Jewish brothers pulled him into the drug game. He moved product for them and delivered cash to Colorado's club. Everyone took their cut. Then a massive shipment worth billions came in. Roman caught Russ, forced him to become her informant, but she was dirty too. She just wanted a bigger slice. The three sides, the Jewish brothers, Colorado, and Roman, worked together but trusted no one. The final payout landed with Russ the same day he got the fake call about his sick father. He flew to London anyway, found his dad already dead, and decided to disappear with every dollar. The others assumed he ran off with the money, and the hunt began. Hank finally understands the chaos. He grabs Russ's phone to call his mom and tell her he's okay. Russ suddenly presses a gun to his head. Nothing's okay anymore. Even if I give the money back, they'll kill me. I'm leaving with it. Hank asks what happens to him. Russ shrugs. You're already dead, man. Hank pretends to hand the phone over, then lunges. Russ goes down cold. Hank calls Roman, voice shaking. I've got Russ and the location of the money. You get both, but after that, we're done. No one comes after me. She agrees and gives him a meeting spot. Hank drags Russ there. The second Russ wakes and sees Roman, he freaks out, screaming that she'll kill them both. He bolts. Shots ring out. One of Colorado's last men drops dead. Russ, Hank, and the remaining Russian pile into a car. Russ, bleeding bad, gasps, Roman killed Yvonne, not the Jews. One shot to the head, her signature. Roman rams their car. They crash through a barrier and jump onto a moving train. Roman and her men can't follow. On the train, Russ takes his last breaths. You're a good guy, Hank. Take care of my cat. Then he's gone. Hank jumps off at the next stop. His phone rings. Roman's voice is ice. Everyone you know is dead. Next is your mother. I have her address. Hank begs his mom over the phone to leave the house right now. He sits on the platform crying until an idea hits him. He snaps the head off the key, hides the real piece inside the cat's old bandage wrapped around his own leg, and calls the Jewish brothers. I know where the money is and I have the key, but you only get it if you kill Roman first. They ask him where Russ is. I bashed his head in with a bat, Hank lies. They laugh, impressed, and agree. Roman has been a pain for too long. They tell him to bring Roman to an old club. When they arrive, they tie Hank outside. He begs to watch her die. They shrug and go in. Gunfire erupts. Bodies drop. Roman comes running out. Hank slips his ties, grabs a piece of broken wood, and charges. One surviving Russian tries to stop him. He beats him down and keeps moving. Roman corners him, gun raised. He jams the wood shard deep into her leg. She screams. He picks up her gun, points it at her head. She laughs through the pain. You're not a killer, Hank. You won't shoot. He smiles coldly. But they will. The Jewish brothers step out and empty their guns into her. They turn to Hank. Key, now. He limps to the cat waiting in their car, unwraps the bandage on his leg, and pulls out the real key. They grin and tell him to drive them to the money. Hank refuses at first, still haunted by the crash that ended his old life. They remind him it's their holy day. Jews don't drive. He finally slides behind the wheel. On the road, they soften. We were going to kill you, but now we'll give you $200,000 to disappear instead. The brother in the back pulls out a lighter to light a cigarette. Yvonne's lighter. Hank's blood runs cold. He realizes these two killed her after all. The one in the back reaches for his gun. Hank says nothing. He just notices they're not wearing seatbelts. He floors it. They yell him to slow down. A pole rushes towards him. Hank doesn't blink. Metal screams. Glass shatters. When the dust settles, Hank is hurt but alive. One brother is dead instantly. The other gurgles, You never should have driven, and dies. Hank walks away free, but he can never come back. Police, mob, everyone will hunt him. He shaves his head, puts on Russ's clothes, grabs the bags stuffed with billions, and boards a plane using Russ's passport and a perfect British accent. He lands on a quiet tropical island where no one will ever find him. His first call is to his mom. Everything's okay now. Go home. I sent you a package. When she opens it, $2 million spill out, enough for her to live like a queen for the rest of her days. The rest belongs to Hank. He sits on a perfect beach, the cat purring beside him, staring at the ocean, thinking about everything he lost and everything he finally won. And that's where the story ends.